a powerful coming of age story about a subject that is sadly common in America, but does it with humor and heart. Let's talk about Disfluency. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass, and I'm talking about Disfluency, which is coming to theaters on January 17th, 2025, and digital and on demand on January 24th, 2025. It is an indie coming of age film about a subject that is all too common, but it does it with like a ton of humor and heart. My hot take is I definitely think you should watch it. I really love this film. I thought it was both an entertaining and powerful coming of age slash coming home story with a difficult subject that's told without, I think, some of the tropes that we expect from movies. It has a really fun cast, really good characters, really good writing, and like I said, both humor and a lot of emotion. So I definitely think you should check it out. I thought it was a really powerful film, and I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into a recap. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn off when I get to the recap. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to the spoilers. So Disfluency is based on the writer-director Anna Baumgarten's personal experiences. So you've got like an underlying emotional truth there, but the film follows Jane, who unexpectedly comes home after college. It seems like something happened there and it has kind of derailed her life. So she goes back home. She meets up with old friends, kind of starts to have fun. It starts off as like a summer fun movie, but then as it progresses, we find out that there's much more going on here than we initially thought. So things I liked about this movie. The first, I like the music. I mean, that was just the first thing I noticed. It has some really beautiful music throughout. And then during the credits, there's this lovely classical tune that plays that just really drives home the emotional power of this movie. The music really does contribute. It doesn't distract, which is nice. Like, it's not a distraction. It really just kind of contributes to the mood and gives this movie like a feeling of quality that you don't always get with indie movies. The second thing I love the cinematography. It's beautiful, beautiful cinematography. Really great shots, really great lighting, beautiful colors. Like you need that in a coming home type of movie where she is coming back to her hometown. You need it to feel safe, beautiful, kind of, picturesque, and the cinematography definitely does that. The third thing I love the cast. It's a really fun cast. It's a really great cast. Every character is a little different, very quirky. All of them are very quirky characters, but they gel really well, especially the friends. Like it starts off as almost like, a summer fun kind of movie as the friends are all reconnecting. And those scenes are just a lot of fun to watch. And everyone kind of like plays their roles perfectly. Even like the awkward one. There's one character who's like a little like gross, but his character is still fun to watch. And he has a couple redeeming moments towards the end. The fourth thing I love the slow build and the mystery. We don't find out a lot about what happened, which I loved. It kind of starts off as this like summer fun type of movie, and as it progresses, you get little hints that maybe there's something else going on here. There's some other thing happening. And that continues throughout the movie. Like even when we get a big reveal, it doesn't just like barrel towards conclusion. There are more scenes that happen, there's more things that happen. We find out some more kind of reveals. And so it slowly builds, but then doesn't just like drop off when we get the big reveal. We get the reveal and it continues at like a strong clip after that. And the last thing I love the writing. I thought the writing was really good. Everything felt fun. Everything felt natural. The writing just really contributed, and it left a lot unsaid, which I loved. Like the film doesn't necessarily hammer things home to you. It kind of leaves it up to the viewer to figure a few things out, which I always love. I love when a movie trusts the viewers to come to conclusions, and this film does that. So, all that being said, there really wasn't anything I didn't like about this movie. I thought this movie was really, really good. I was very surprised that a movie this good is coming out in January, but that is to everyone's benefit. So definitely check out Disfluency coming to theaters on January 17th, 2025, and digital on demand on January 24th, 2025. Definitely watch it. I think it's a fantastic film. I really, really enjoyed it. So if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I would love to hear it. And I'm going to really quickly go into a recap right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So in Disfluency, you have Jane coming back to her family home after we find out later flunking out of college. She had, I think, one semester left, maybe like one class left. But she couldn't get it done. She couldn't complete it. So she goes back home to kind of like recover, find a new purpose, try to figure out what to do. And when she gets there, it's a little awkward because we don't know why she's there. It seems like her family is, supporting her, but maybe a little bit disappointed in her. But luckily, she has her sister there, not twin sister, but a little bit older sister, just a few like 9 months older sister, Lacey. And so she is there to help Jane, and also some friends from her hometown are there also. She gets back into the swing of things with her friends. They're hanging out, they're doing bonfires, they're talking, they're reminiscing, they're doing light drugs, but having a lot of fun. And she also seems to reconnect with this kid that she's had a crush on for a while, this kid named Jordan, who is very, very sweet. It seems like this is all very good for her. And it starts off as like a really kind of like fun reunion. You don't know what's going on with Jane. You know something happened, but you see the love that's around her and you see her kind of like get back and comfortable here, but it's not all perfect. One of her old childhood friends, Amber, had a child, seems to have like fallen out with the group, and they seem to have been very close, but you get a little bit of an awkward sense here for some reason. It seems like Jane hasn't really kept up with her, and so there might be a little bit of a cold aspect there. And also as Jane is having fun and being with her friends, occasionally we get flashbacks of something that might have happened. It seemed like there was some sort of trauma. You don't really get a ton. There is something involving an auditorium where she can't really speak. There is seems to be a party. There are pictures of like bruises and an examination. So you get a sense that there was some trauma here, but you don't really understand what happened until much, much later. Now, eventually, Jane watches her friend's child, Theo, for an afternoon. Her friend Amber has to go to a job interview. Jane has worked with kids because she has studied like speech and speech therapy in college. So she's fine working with Theo. She plays with him and then kind of realizes that Theo is probably deaf. He's not responding to things. She confronts Amber. Amber is initially like dismissive, but later comes and like admits to Jane that she knew that. She just kind of like didn't want to accept it. Jane goes like, you know, I'll teach you sign language. And so her and Amber start practicing sign language. They start working together to try to like let Amber find a way to communicate with her kid and also to like help Theo learn how to communicate as well. That seems to like kind of revive their friendship. It seems like that is something that really gets them close together. But also, Jane's hanging out with her other friends. And one night on 4th of July, they're hanging out, they go skinny dipping, they play truth or dare. Jordan, the kid that like Jane seems to have a crush on, and her go under a dock, and it seems like they're gonna kiss. Jordan goes in for the kiss and Jane recoils. And she like is very apologetic about it. She, you know, wanted to kiss him, but she can't. And so she starts having like a panic attack. And this causes Jordan to get concerned, but also causes, you know, Jane's friends to get concerned. It causes her to like go into a little bit of a downward spiral. And then we finally find out why in this like amazingly emotional scene. I thought this scene was so well done. I thought this scene was like perfect. Jane and Amber are talking after this panic attack, and they're talking in sign language. So it's really interesting because like normally when you have this, you would have like a big emotional speech. You'd have like voice trembling. It would it could be done really well, but also it can feel a little bit, I don't know, manufactured. But here, because they're all signing, you are focused only on like their faces and the emotions and just reading what they're saying. A lot of the sound cuts out here, so it's like a very, very quiet scene, which really kind of like raises the tension, raises the emotion. I thought it was beautifully well done. And what Jane finally tells her friend Amber, the first time she told anyone, is that she was raped at a party, and that is why she, you know, kind of flunked out of school. She couldn't go to school. She kind of like shut down after that, and that is why she left college. Now, she hasn't told her sister, she hasn't told anyone, and so this was the first time Jane kind of opened up about it. And again, I thought it was, you just have to see it to like really understand how powerful the scene was. So after this, she finally tells Lacey, her sister. Lacey, in turn, tells her parents, and they want to get involved, but it seems to be overwhelming for Jane. Jane wants to like do this all on her own. She doesn't want her parents to get involved. She wants to make her own decisions. And so she then leaves her house and goes to a place we've seen her before. It's this like bench or this like picnic table that she's been sitting at a few times late at night, just kind of like staring there. And we don't know why. All we see is this picnic table. But now we find out why. Lacey goes and joins her. Her parents told her where she would be. And we see that this picnic table is like sitting across the street from a police station. So Jane has been contemplating reporting this, contemplating like telling the authorities about this, but she hadn't until now. So Lacey goes with her. She goes and reports it. The cop, you know, starts off, you know, very kind of nice and very kind of like supportive. But as the interrogation continues, he asks, I don't know, fairly reasonable questions, but they come off, you know, a little bit uncaring, a little bit kind of very investigatory. And so this kind of throws Jane off, but she still ends up like giving some of the information, and then she's going to like submit a statement later. But during this time, she starts to question her own story. And after this, she's in the bathroom, kind of like, you know, decompressing from this. And Lacey goes up to her, and Jane has this like amazing monologue, this like powerful one-shot monologue where she explains to like Lacey all the emotions she was going through, all the things that she was feeling during this time, and like the kind of build up to reporting it and what that made her feel. It is, again, just another scene that you really have to see to like really understand both the initial statement to Amber and this monologue were like the emotional high points of this film. So after this, Jane goes and stays with Lacey in Detroit for a little bit. We find out that Lacey has a lot of her stuff together. It seems like before she felt a little bit more carefree, but she is on top of her stuff. She is in vet school. She's has a great job. She was going to go to on this like really fun research study, but she decided to stay because her sister was coming home. And so Lacey kind of takes turn here. I liked how both of those characters, and actually kind of all the characters here seemed to have layers. Like it seemed like Jane wasn't just like a sad dropout in college. She had something happen to her. She actually seemed to be more organized. She seemed to be very driven and was just kind of like thrown off by this horrible incident. Lacey, on the other hand, is more kind of like carefree when she's with the friends. But then we go to her apartment and we see that like she is actually doing very well. She has a lot of her stuff together. So this film does kind of throw you for loops, which I really appreciated. So then after we see this, after Jane realizes what Lacey has like done for her, the film skips 6 weeks later. Jane has completed her research. She's going to go present her research, try to graduate, see if she can graduate. And they all go to climb this thing. I think it's called Big Pine. It's this big pine tree in the middle of town that they talk about climbing a few times. Well, Jane wants to do this before she goes and turns in her research paper. So they all go there. She climbs up. This is her first time making it all the way to the top of the tree. Dylan is up there as well. He's the one that was like a little bit crass, a little bit gross, but he's up there too. And he and Jane have a moment up here. It's actually very sweet. Like Dylan's dad was, I think, the cop that took her statement at the station. And so he says, like, that was pretty ballsy of you to go and like put your statement in. Jane's like, yeah, but I didn't follow through. And he's like, still pretty, it's still like you did it. You like went and reported it. That's impressive. And then he tells her about an incident that happened to him that I don't think he reported. So he tells Jane essentially like, that was really ballsy. Like, I respect you for that, which was sweet. It was a very nice moment. But I also kind of liked that part of it. Jane kind of like did what she wanted to do. She took control of her life, but she didn't want to go through the full prosecution. And that feels like it bucked a little bit of Hollywood trends. It kind of, I would have expected in a lot of movies, you would go through, she would get her justice. That would be the end of it. She would be like seeing him carted away. But here, Jane did what she wanted to do, and then she's going to kind of move on with her life. So she goes to her classroom. She presents her research. Her teacher asks her if something happened, doesn't really go into specifics. Jane says yes. Her teacher asks if she's all right, and Jane says no, but she's getting better. And then her teacher is excited to hear her research, and so Jane gets up there to present her research. We don't know if she graduates. We don't know what happens, but we do know that Jane's life is getting better. She is kind of getting over this trauma and learning to deal with it and trying to kind of like move on with her life. And that is the end of Disfluency. Like I said, I love this movie. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was powerful. I thought it was emotional. I thought it was really funny, which is, kind of a tough thing to balance in a movie about trauma. So definitely think you should check it out. Definitely think you should watch it when it comes to theaters or digital on demand. And if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.